And now we will start out our panel discussion, part of the intersection of business and the environment, and introduce our panelists before we move forward. We have Elliott Hoffman, who is the founder of New Voice of Business. We also have Felicia Marcus, who is the Western Regional Director of the National Resources Defense Council. We also have John Knox, who is the Executive Director of the Earth Island Institute. Tonight, the panel will be moderated by Stephen Van Yoder. In addition to providing a lot of really fabulous marketing and public relations help to EcoTuesday, Stephen also authored a book called Get Slightly Famous, which helps companies become a celebrity in their field and to attract more attention to their business with less effort. He's also a principal of Get the Word Out Communications, a San Francisco-based marketing and public relations firm that helps mission-driven businesses become recognized leaders in their industries.
So tonight's discussion is going to focus on the intersection between business and the environment and the emerging green economy. Our panelists will explore how environmental issues are contributing to a profound shift in how businesses operate, while showcasing the evolving relationship between business leaders and environmental advocates and initiatives. So let's get to the first question. We have a new presidential administration with a profound new direction as it involves the environment. How will the new Obama administration and the recent economic stimulus package impact environmental policy in the coming years, in the near term and in the coming years? John, why don't you take this one first?
We have to watch out with the distribution of the money. There are a lot of old political systems in place, and we're just hoping that some of the vision that Obama and some of his people have will trickle down into the administration of those funds. We're particularly excited about the vehicle of environmental restoration for capturing people's imaginations, and it turns out we have some environmental restoration projects going on in Southern California that will benefit finally from some money breaking loose from the state of California, and we hope from the federal government, so that we'll get reimbursed for some of that money that we put out to.
I think there's something stunning about what he's been doing that is interesting. I think on a host of the fronts that we've been working on across the environmental gamut, whether it's restoring integrity to EPA and like sort of opening the door so all the good people in EPA can start doing their jobs. I have been absolutely amazed at how brilliantly he has pulled together the whole notion of a new energy economy being what's smart for us. We've been saying this for years. Jerry Brown was saying this 30, 40 years ago. And California's led the way as a result, with a lot of work on the part of a lot of people in this room. But he totally gets it. He gets that it's not just about the environment out here as an interest group. It's about energy and the environment and pulling them together, and the economy. And it comes out of his mouth every single time. The stimulus bill was the largest energy bill in history, and the greenest bill in history. And now they're moving on the climate issue and all of that. I just think it's going to be revolutionary.
So we have a president who really deeply understands and gets what is going on. So the challenges are not going to be so much from Barack Obama. It's going to be from a Congress and institutions that are not built to deal with the truly transformative and profound changes that we're facing. And it's up to everybody in this room, not just people on this panel or Barack Obama. It is up to everybody here to really demand the kind of big transformative changes that we need.
Corporate social responsibility is no longer a niche activity. It's a widely embraced concept, widely practiced concept by companies, and consumers are rewarding companies that show a genuine, authentic commitment to social and environmental values. New Voice of Business obviously is on the same page with that concept. Could you talk a little bit about where you see the role of corporate social responsibility meeting this intersection between business and the environment, and where you think it's all going?
The key messages that we want to put across in the world today is that there is a divide in the business community. The business community is not a monolithic, single-minded community. There is no one single business voice in the business community, and yet when you could pick up the Newsweek from a couple of weeks ago, talked about energy, climate, and so on. Talked about, there were probably 6 or 7 pages of different folks talking about this, and all they said about businesses was that business is opposed to climate. This person from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce says this. That's all that's continued quoted, so we need to get the idea into the media that there's a huge divide in the business community. And CSR in general has gone from a niche 20 years ago, when those of us were involved in it, it was called business and social responsibility, to where it's become pretty mainstream. And as a matter of fact, we're hoping that it went from niche to being a bolt-on, if you will. And now there are more companies that are actually embedding the whole idea of corporate social responsibility into their DNA, hopefully. And that will hopefully morph into the more general issue of sustainability. And it is imperative that companies large, medium, and small embed in their very DNA, in their culture, in their business plans, the whole concept of sustainability, from a carbon footprint, energy, waste, from throughout your organization. If you don't embrace not just CSR, but sustainability, you will be out of business.
The role of business plays in American society is the engine. It makes things happen, and I think people are becoming aware of the problems that false value has brought to the economy, and so I think we have a huge opportunity to encourage businesses that people have faith.
There are plenty of businesses who are not embracing this, and they're fighting to the death within their institutions. So many of you are nodding. They're within institutions, and you can see it played out as you watch the auto companies right now. I don't think they ever thought they'd be at this day. It is a day of reckoning that a lot of people thought would come in the next 20 years, and it's astounding, and to see what comes out of it and what other industries get a wake-up call. Because from dealing with one of the benefits of being in the EPA was dealing with lots of different industries, and some are more flexible and aware and dynamic than others. So the computer industry has plenty of warts, but they were a lot more fun to work with than the auto industry or refineries, in part because they have to turn over and do new things all the time from a business perspective, where others had sort of a free ride on a, it might not have been forever, but it was sort of on the scale, not geologic scale, but the scale of time of the locomotive, locomotive industry. Buggy whip makers went out of business when they invented the car. So that's, it's an era type change, and we're now in an era of much faster pace, and some of them are not going to be able to keep up. And the only way you're going to be able to change and be dynamic is to implement these principles, in part because of the fact that the public is going to ask for it, particularly the next generation. And in some weird way, the scarcity of resources is inevitable too, whether it's water or not being able to have the free externalities, what they call in economics, but the ability to pollute for free. And the climate legislation is really a classic example that I'm sure a lot of dissertations will be written on in days to come of it being, because I'm certain something will happen, maybe not this year, hopefully this year, but maybe next, where we're finally actually having industries pay for and their customers pay for the cost of materials. So I think we're living in very historic and interesting times.